Hello there, everybody. Adam Clery from FourFourTwo here, and as you've no doubt seen, Man United won an epic FA Cup encounter. It could potentially define their season, it could potentially save their manager, but when it comes to sort of understanding it and analysing it from a tactical perspective, I don't even know where to start, really. What we saw in this game was Erik Ten Hag grabbing the dial that says crazy, debating turning it down slightly because of who they were playing, but instead just ramping it all the way up as hard as he could until the knob broke off, and then he just hit Jurgen Klopp in the head with it. And I now somehow have to explain that with graphs. Can I actually do that? Well, let's see. Alright, so we'll start at the beginning. This was the Man United side as they lined up. And probably the most interesting thing here is Aaron Wan-Bissaka at left back. Now, as we saw across the course of the game, he was there for two reasons. First off, teams are just terrified of Mo Salah and what he can do on the ball. And Wan-Bissaka is a brilliant defensive fullback. He wins his challenges. He's got great pace. He's perfect to do a man-marking job on him, and he did reasonably well. But more importantly, from an attacking perspective, Ten Hag wanted to get at Liverpool in this specific area of the pitch here. Liverpool had started Joe Gomez at right back, and while he was pushing up the flank, he was also drifting into the middle, leaving a bit of a gap there with Jarell Quansah, arguably Liverpool's least experienced central defender, having to cover across. Now, it's pretty straightforward, that one. Obviously, you're hardly going to target the side that Van Dijk and Robertson are on, but that is a little gap that Man United could get some joy in, and so they overloaded that area. Fernandez kept drifting out there. Wan-Bissaka, they'll just reach him. He would push all the way up, and they kept finding themselves with a nice 3v2. And it was this overload that led to the first goal. Man United go back to front really quickly. Gomez has come in field, so he's out of position, so Quansah has to chase Marcus Rashford into that channel. And while Liverpool do get men back, you can just see from the defensive shape here that they're kind of all over the place. The two on the left have gone too far back, and because Quansah and Gomez are kind of both in a bit of a muddle here, it allows Garnacho to sneak in round the back. He's played through, and that's how they get the first goal. So we might then reasonably assume that because Man United got such a big win here against such a big team in such a big game, that these massive defensive problems they've got weren't really a factor. They had a good system for stopping that happening, right? Oh, no. You see, rather than make the game less chaotic, what they actually did was they just made it so chaotic, they were like the only team in the world that could ever hope to thrive. And they did. So as we have discussed on the channel 1,000,001 times at this point, Man United's big problem is that they like to press with these 5 players, and they get really aggressive with it, and they're good at winning the ball back, and that creates them some chances. But they also defend really deep with these players, and they leave all this space in the middle for young Kobe Mainoo, or sometimes Casemiro's creaking knees, to try and cover. And it is about 1 billion square yards. And just to use that nice little montage from last time we talked about Man United, when teams break through this first area of the press, when they are unsuccessful in regaining the ball in this part of the pitch, they then just run straight through. And you don't need me to tell you this if you're a Man United fan, you've seen it a million times. This exact scenario just keeps happening and happening and happening and happening. And indeed, in this very game, it kept happening and happening and happening. Liverpool kept finding themselves in all this space between Manchester United's midfield and their defence. It's the side's Achilles heel. But again, as we said in the last video, I'm not some genius who spotted this and Erik Ten Hag hasn't. This is how he wants them to play. He wants to be aggressive in this area, and he doesn't want to get balls in behind the defence, so they just leave this gap. But what was different about this match was that this, as a system, actually kind of worked. What is supposed to happen when you're defending this way, and what if you're a Man United fan you hope they will get better and better at the more they do it, is that you sort of abandon the width that you've got as you're running back to your own goal, and everybody just kind of congregates in the centre. Because when teams have got a fast break on you like this, they want to be going direct to goal. It's not about getting territory or possession, it's about getting a chance. And obviously the most direct way to do that is through the middle. So they congest that area as best they can, completely abandoning the players they're marking out wide to force the ball to go there. And around like the half-hour mark or something, there was a brilliant example of this actually working, because Liverpool do get through that press and they get the ball to McAllister. He's in loads of space in the middle. There's only really Scott McTominay who's there to deal with it, but he can't leave. I think this is Szoboszlai, so he's got to kind of just stay there. And Man United's back four is stretched quite wide. Dalot is here. He's got somebody to mark, and they're all the way across to Wan-Bissaka on the other side. But as McAllister charges towards goal, they all just kind of disregard the man marking element. And by the time they get back to their own 18-yard line, just look at how much more narrow they are. The central options that looked like they were on when he picked the ball up have now gone entirely, so he's forced to go out wide. He could go, I think this is Salah this side, he's in miles of space, and Robertson the same on the left. But because going out wide, when you're a team who aren't naturally going to look to hit a first-time cross or have got that kind of target man in the middle, that totally slows the play down. Robertson gets it, realizes there's no sort of incisive pass he can make from that position, and they go back. And by that point, Man United have got back down the field, and they've got numbers. In the end, they're forced to go all the way back to Van Dijk, and Man United have 11 players behind the ball again. But this is why, in the intro to this video, I said that they just went even crazier, because you're playing Liverpool, right? And this is a high-risk strategy, so the sensible thing to do would be to only press with these 4, right? So you've got a little bit more presence in the middle. No, they pressed with 6. I mean, fair play, because Ten Hag must have bars the size of grapefruits to try and do this. They knew that Liverpool's best chance of getting through was through the centre, so they man-marked every single outball they had through the middle when they had possession at the back. They kept trying to force them wide, even in their build-up. And you did see that happen a good few times. Like, here's Liverpool giving away a throw-in because there was no pass in the centre. You can see they're all well-marked, and they just panic, and they go out wide, and they lose it. But for how good and how effective this was, going into the last couple of minutes of this game, Man United were still losing, because Liverpool are a really good team, and this system is still quite open. And this is why I said at the start of the video, if you end up in a crazy contest against Manchester United, their best bet is to just simply make things more crazy. And if there's anything crazier this season than Antony not only using his right foot, but scoring a brilliant goal with it, I don't want to know. And when that whistle blew for 90 minutes, that is pretty much where this game ended, as sort of a sensible tactical joust between two managers. Because as soon as injury time started, it just went bananas. But I think, more than anything else in this match, this right here is where Erik Ten Hag deserves the biggest amount of credit. Because how many times have you seen, in injury time, two tired teams not really going for it? It tends to be a stalemate. They just play it out with penalties, or somebody does one little goal somewhere. That Liverpool team has played so much football in 2024. They have had so many injuries. They are relying on so many young players. They had a game on Thursday night. Ten Hag looked at that and just thought, surely they must be more tired than we are. And this might honestly be my favourite graph we've used all season, right? Including the substitutions. This is what Man United's average positions ended up being in that game. That is the most formless, shapeless, chaotic mess I have ever seen. So Dalot at right back and Rashford on the left, they played pretty much the entire game. They look fairly normal, but everybody else is just everywhere, and they come in a big congealed pool in the middle, because that's where it all averages out. Like Garnacho changed sides, so he's in the centre, and Antony changed sides, so he's in the centre, and Bruno Fernandes was here and there and centre-back, so he comes out in the middle as well. And this isn't me just saying, oh, Liverpool were tired, by the way, because there's so much more to it than that. Man United, after 120 minutes, had players who were absolutely exhausted, but Ten Hag moved them around into areas of the pitch where his fresh legs would tell and his tired legs wouldn't. Fernandes going into centre-back is just a great example of this, because you don't want to lose his ability on the ball, but also after that much football, you can't be expecting him to press or to join in counter-attack, so you put him somewhere where the running is less important. But also, and I genuinely think this might be one of the smartest things he's done all season, was Antony at left-back. Going into the final stretch of this match, Liverpool's right-hand side consisted of Conor Bradley, who absolutely loves to bomb forward and had the legs to be doing that, and then Harvey Elliott and Cody Gakpo sort of interchanging. And you've got two players there, and Gakpo, who won't work back particularly hard, and Elliott, someone who gets drawn into the middle and wants to play centrally, so can be out of position. And the thing about Antony, right, is that it's very, very easy to look at all the things he's bad at, but one thing he doesn't get enough credit for is that he's actually excellent defensively. Like, these are his attacking numbers from the last 365 days. That is absolutely not what you want from an attacker who costs that much money, but these are his defensive numbers. People forget this, but it was the whole reason Ten Hag wanted him, because when he had him at Ajax, he was excellent in the press, he was really aggressive going forward off the ball, but he would also work back really hard and was good at winning it. Might be a whole other video in this, but that is genuinely something Man United should consider doing more, in my opinion. Certainly in certain games, having him there with the license to get forward, but knowing you'll work back, could actually work. But yes, anyway, sorry, just to get back to the point I was originally trying to make, Ten Hag went after Liverpool's energy levels. And the thing about energy levels, my friends, is that yes, they can take a toll on your legs, but they also take a toll on your brain. In extra time, Man United were 3-2 down, but then capitalised on two very tired decisions Liverpool made to score breakaway goals. Darwin Núñez ends up with the ball on the left-hand side and facing infield, and that is not where he wants to be at all. And what's notable here is that Man United have successfully cut off all his infield passing options with 3 substitutes. So 3 players who had the legs and the energy to go and close that off. Now they're quite happy with this situation, because if he just turns back around and goes to the fullback here, they've forced them back. That's what they want to do, but he doesn't do that because he makes a very tired decision. He just tries to lump it from left to right across a congested midfield, which any coach will tell you you should never ever do. Man United turn the ball over from there and immediately score. What's even more telling here is this is an incredibly difficult ball for McTominay to control, and yet none of the Liverpool midfielders close the distance to him in time, because they're tired. And then the winning goal, and it comes from one of the most tired decisions I think I've ever seen on a football pitch. Yes, Harvey Elliott has come on as a sub, but he's someone else who has played a lot of football recently. Him and Endo, just neither of them can decide whose ball this is, and somehow, despite being third favourite to it by a mile, Ahmad gets there. And the mad thing is, when Garnacho gets this, you can even see the tiredness in him. He can't get into a full sprint the way you would expect him to, and it's a really tired pass that he gives him, and the chance nearly goes. But that is why tactics and ideas and structures and all just this nerd stuff will only get you so far, right? Ahmad just takes a brilliant first touch to open up the shot, and then it is a even better finish to find the bottom corner. You can't really prepare for that. You can't work out a system that's going to make that happen. He just does it because it's just deserved it. And that's not only how Man United won it, that's why they deserved to win it. Like, they made the game as open and as chaotic as possible, and then Ten Hag had the courage to throw on players who would thrive best in that situation. And honestly, you just couldn't hope to have a better example of why this Man United system works so well, and also why it doesn't. Like, it can absolutely win you a chaotic cup tie when both teams are going to do it, but when you come up against more organised, more structured teams that are probably happy to play for a draw, or they're not really going to be too open, it can create problems all of its own. But Christ, when it works, woohoo! Anyway, I'm going to go now, because not to use a crude metaphor, but this level of insight and analysis on that game of football feels to me like the proverbial hot dog down a hallway. Don't really feel I've touched the sides. If you have enjoyed it though, then I do promise you it is always this bad, so please do subscribe to us here on FourFourTwo. We love getting new subscribers. It's our favourite metric in the world, and it does really help us grow the channel, so please hit that with your button, not your face. New magazine's out. It's brilliant, and I do have to say that, but I would anyway because it is, so grab that from all good retailers and the crap ones as well. Get me on social media at Adam Clery, Clery. I just joined TikTok. I've got like 5 followers on there or something, so if you want to come and say hello, that'd be nice too. In the meantime though, yeah, that's it. Erik Ten Hag's Man United might be the best cup side in the world, but also definitely mid-table in most leagues. But that's football, baby. Goodbye.